Welcome to the powerful acoustics here in the new
Great Oz.
city council chamber. I almost scared myself. Welcome to the first words spoken in the new council chamber. The Glendale Housing Authority meeting of June 15th, 2010. May we have a roll call, please?
Authority members: Draymond.
Here.
Friedman.
Here.
Incy.
Here.
Najarian.
Here.
Parazian.
Here.
Weaver.
Here.
Chair Quintero.
Here. May we have your report?
The agenda for the June 15, 2010 regular meeting of the Glendale Housing Authority was posted on Thursday, June 10, 2010 on the bulletin board outside City Hall.
And what's next, please?
Next is approval of the minutes.
So moved. I believe Mr. Najarian was absent for that particular meeting.
Second.
Okay, with that abstention, the minutes stand approved as submitted. Next, please.
Next is oral communication. Discussion is limited. Time is not a part of this agenda. Each speaker is allowed 5 minutes. Members of the Housing Authority may question or respond to the speaker, but there will be no debate or decision, and the matter may be referred to staff through the Executive Director for investigation and report.
I have one speaker, Herbert Milano. The first person to go to the new podium at the Glendale City.
I want to enjoy this new openness, physical openness. Hopefully translates further into a more general openness. It's a pleasure to be here before you, members of the Housing Authority and city staff. My name is Herbert Milano. I want to start with a reminder, I guess, of perhaps what some people contend as the purpose of a city government. Most of us believe that the purpose is to improve our quality of life. There is no other agency here in the city of Glendale more directly purposed towards finding that information than the Housing Authority. In 2001, the Housing Authority, I believe, in the city, in the Parks Department and the Police Department together joined to create a report with regard to the status of youth in Glendale. And at that time, in 2001, the city had a calculation which demonstrated that only 1% of the overall city budget, only 1% was addressed or geared towards youth 18 and under. And I began to wonder, what if there had been a 6-year-old back in 2001, today he would be 15 years old, and in what kind of state would that child be? Now, if we had been collecting the data on a yearly basis with regard to quality of life, we could take, for example, data concerning crime, or an indicator of crime, let's say graffiti. And you wonder, how would we measure whether the graffiti is getting worse or the situation is getting better? Because I believe that graffiti is an indicator of the state of youth at risk. Well, I think that it could be measured by the number of gallons of paint that are used to cover it. The more gallons of paint you use, the more graffiti you would have if it is being allocated towards that purpose. So if graffiti were a measure of quality of life that measures the state of youth at risk, we could use the number of gallons of paint used to cover graffiti as a way of measuring whether we're getting better or the situation is getting worse. So it is that concept that I've tried to bring in here for many, many years. If you identify the objectives, if you set a strategic plan, and then put all your energy towards addressing a problem, then you measure it every year to see if you're making a headway towards it, but you have to do something else. You have to align the budget to match that objective. So if there is no budget for it, then you cannot achieve those end objectives. And that's pretty much, in a nutshell, what I've been bringing before you all of these years. That if we don't know what the problems are, you can't set policy, you can't put it into a strategic plan if you were to make one, and you cannot align the budget towards it. So what if we had put extra money back then? What if we had allocated $1 million extra a year to take care of youth at risk? Where would we be today? Would there have been an improvement? The problem is that we don't know, because the money has not gone there. The money has gone here. This is the Glendale Firefighters Association agreement with the city. It was supposed to have ended June 30th of this year, but of course it was extended. And you figured, how has this money been used, and are we better off given this extra millions of dollars that have gone here? Now, with 10 years in, a typical firefighter, in my opinion, will be earning about $150,000 a year. And given the pension alone, about 90% of his pay, you figure about $235,000 per year for that firefighter without all of the other benefits, medical, post-employment benefits, and so on. So what if we had been more judicious with regard to these agreements, and what if we had put that money to work where the biggest needs are in a city like Glendale? That's the question I ask myself, because at the end of the day, it is the funds, it is the money, it's the allocation targeted properly that resolves our problems at the end of the day. And it is my hope that we restore some type of measures and align those measures and incorporate it into a strategic plan that then helps to build your budgets in the future. Thank you very much.
Okay, that's the only oral communication card. Next, please.
Next is authority member or staff comments.
Are there any staff comments? Mr. Mincy.
I know that most people on the dais here are with SC, but I just want to make a comment on the passing of John Wooden at 99. I went to my file, I hadn't had it out for a long time, his pyramid of success, and he really lived it. He had not only in the field, but the way he could inspire others. And I had the opportunity about 20 years ago to MC a big dinner for him sponsored by the gas company and introduce him to the hundreds of people that were there. He was such a kind man, kind to my wife, and we became friends, and I would see him 2 or 3 times a year through the years till about 5 years ago. But I understand he was in Glendale at the library, and I believe somewhere else, right?
Pacific Edison.
Pacific Edison. But he was just a gentleman, and I just wanted to note his passing because he was a wonderful man.
Other comments? Next, please.
There's no new business. Just a motion to adjourn.
We are adjourned.